things just have not worked at all in Anaheim. They're currently on a 7-game losing streak. They've lost 19 of 21. So you kind of had a feeling something was going to change. But Whit, I'm curious what you think about the GM deciding then to take over as head coach as well.
Well, I was very interested by his quote where he said, I think by being behind the bench, I'll really kind of see what the problem is. Now, that's, that's obviously him getting his point across that there's major issues, which everyone knows. But he has no coaching history. I mean, you could look to the fact that this team, while somehow only 8 points out of the playoffs, is probably done for the year. They're not going to get in the playoffs. You've seen what's happened. And, maybe now it's try to get the highest draft pick possible. And the GM could be in charge of who's going to be out there. He's going to see what he has in young guys and how old guys can still play, if they can, if they cannot. But it's a very bizarre situation because when it's someone who hasn't coached, you just know he's going to rely completely on his assistants.
Absolutely, but the presence, it's that presence of him being behind the bench that I'm curious to see. Maybe some hairs on the back of some necks are going to stand up. Because I got to be honest, watching Anaheim, I've been flustered watching this team. I talked to different people within that organization. What's going on with your team? What's happening? What's the deal? Uninspired performances. No real attention to detail in the D zone, poor decisions in the O zone, not that battle that we typically see from an Anaheim Ducks team that plays a heavy game. If nothing else, they're going to be there for the battle. Haven't seen quite as much of that this season. Left their goalie out to dry, John Gibson. It's been frustrating. It really has. If you're a Ducks fan, and I thought this change would have been made sooner, but I got to give them credit. At least they made the change. And now having the GM behind the bench as your head coach, if that doesn't get your attention and doesn't get you elevated in terms of your performance, nothing will. And then, as he said, then he'll know what he's really dealing with.
So what realistically does the goal become at this point? If you're the Anaheim Ducks and you're playing out the last 20, 30 games of the season, what's the goal here?
Well, in my opinion, it's just win the next game. I mean, they have 2 wins in close to 60 days. So in terms of this season, no one in that locker room's thinking, oh, we're tanking, you know what I mean? Guys are still going out to play. Like Weekes says in front of the GM, you better be ready to play. So let's just win the next one. Let's try to win 3, 4 in a row, but it just starts with 1. So you got to get a system in place. And talking to guys there wasn't really a game plan going into games. So Randy's gone now, Carlyle's gone, and it's going to be a different voice behind the bench, and we'll see what happens.